Hello, in this week's episodes, Everyone is Hot for Teacher, Lana sends Whitney a Dear John video, Dr. Hamilton is shaking things up, and Clark comes out to Pete. This is the Smallville Chronicles. Hello, I'm Lou Gonzalez, and once again joined by my co-host, Alan Muir.
I know that I have this, I downloaded the song they use at the end of Duplicity, but man, once that song gets in your head, you cannot get it out.
I think I paused it before it even kicked in, so I don't even know what the song is at the end.
It's just an ordinary day. A song they played at the beginning of the episode.
Oh, okay. Yeah, these are interesting episodes. They're I know we technically did the first episode of season 1 in our last episode.
Technically, but really this is the real premiere.
Yeah, because this is where there's a time jump. So the last episode ended at the whatever dance.
Vortex Part 2.
Yeah, but it ended at the dance. So this takes place after the entire end of the summer. So we are now going into our character's sophomore year of high school.
Yeah, which...
Yeah,
a certain point, I'm really? A 15-year-old, or 14 or 15-year-old that's you know what?
Yeah. There's a whole bunch of weird stuff going on in here. And again, the characters are driving, all the time. So I think they forget how old you are to drive by yourself.
And the scene where, with the attempted seduction.
Oh, yeah. Well, this first episode, so it's the first episode, it's technically the second episode of season 2.
But more importantly, it's the episode with Heat Vision.
Yes.
And it's aptly titled Heat.
This might be the horniest episode of the series.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to describe it. There is so much cleavage and, leg shots and almost butt shots. This almost might rival the Nicodemus episode with Lana, because that was just Lana. This is
now it's just everybody.
Yeah, between the teacher, and then there was a total shot of Lana and Chloe sitting next to each other, just watching them sweat with their, V-neck tops. And, it's not even a shot of their faces, it's just their chests. And I was just oh, okay, I guess we're going here. Again, these are sophomores in high school, so they're, 15. And then it cuts to Clark just staring down the teacher. She's, rubbing her legs.
And then he gets caught.
Yeah, and, even Pete is oh, man. And then there's, it cuts to the video they're watching, and it's 2 lions humping. And it's all right, I guess we're not gonna pretend. There's no pretending. Everything is just completely, in your face.
There was absolutely no subtlety.
Yeah, that was not this episode. I feel like the plot in this episode is fairly straightforward. So basically, there's a new teacher, teaching their sex ed. I forgot her name because she's just, Desiree Atkins. I will talk more about her later, which is interesting. And, so basically, literally Clark gets hot and heavy, and this triggers him to light the screen that they're watching the sex ed video on fire. And then, basically, they leave, the fire department comes, and Lex shows up in it's a new car, so it's not the same model that he had last season. This is a Lamborghini. Yeah,
and Clark, it's the whole Spider-Man 1 thing, where, Clark thinks Lex is going to be there for him, but it's actually for Desiree.
Yeah, so he runs right past him, and, he's oh, what's going on? And he's oh, this is my fiance. I was going to message this to you, but, here's an invitation to our wedding. Tonight. Yeah. It's will you be my best man? And Clark's yeah.
I'm 15.
Okay. And apparently Lex also invited everyone from the high school that's around Clark. Because
that's very sketchy.
I get him inviting Lana because he knows Lana. Lex does not know Chloe at all.
Yeah.
She's his subordinate's daughter.
Yeah, well, or it could have been I don't think he actually invited literally like the whole school. I think she just accompanied her dad to the wedding.
Yeah, that makes sense. But even then, like, why would her dad be invited to that wedding? I think like just invited Clark's friends. Or like the two girls that he knows that he has a thing for, and that's it.
But also, is it me, or was literally everyone sweating in this episode?
Yeah, well, that's the whole thing that they're talking about. So in the very, very beginning, Lana's doing a video thing of everybody, and Pete mentions this the biggest heat wave
in 25 years.
Yeah, so literally, no one's air conditioning is working. Everyone is sweating, and it's basically just an excuse for the three. So basically, everybody but Martha, that's a woman in this episode, is in low-cut tops and sweating. There's literally a shot of a bead of sweat going down Desiree's chest, from like her neck to her chest. Again, this is the horniest episode. Maybe we'll have to like create a new scale, because like, there is definitely somebody that we have to measure in the next episode in the Dan Lauria scale of crazy. So,
well, it's a mix of it's sort of between Dan Lauria and Tony Todd's character.
Well, yeah, he has Tony Todd's character stuff, but he's like full Dan Lauria, like he's an 11.
It's like those two mixed.
Yeah, but we'll get to that after we finish this episode real quick, because there's not a whole lot.
It's mainly just to show off heat vision.
Yes.
And I actually have to say that I prefer the heat vision done on Smallville than Supergirl.
Oh, I do like it too. I like the concept that you actually can't see the laser, but that what you see is like the heated up air.
Yeah.
I think it's a better concept because I'm trying to think, because he's not actually projecting, I guess, energy per se. Like he's not Cyclops, and I think that's how it's portrayed a lot of times. And I like this idea of it's like I guess
cells.
He's releasing some sort of energy, but it's in the form of just straight heat, focused heat.
The way they did it the way they did this when they in I think 2014, 2015, when Jeff Johns is writing this Superman book with John Romita Jr. They literally said you're the equivalent of a battery. You're soaking up all the radiation, all the heat and radiation from the sun. And that was that was when they did the gimmick power, the new gimmick power, which was
the solar flare.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't mind that they've even used it on Supergirl. Like conceptually, I like.
They've only used it once, and it was around the time that
it was the same time that comic came out, I think, within like a couple weeks of each other.
Yeah,
because it was like season 1 of Supergirl. But I conceptually like that's like the progression of the heat vision. That it's really the heat vision is him focusing like that energy with him out in a very particular area, while the like solar flare is him just like pushing it all out at once. But I do think they created a very funny thing, which apparently was part of an original idea for the pilot of the series, was to kind of have the same thing happen with the heat vision and sex ed, but they wanted to like leave some time for him to continue to develop powers. So they just rolled that idea in what's basically the season 2 premiere.
Yeah, and also the music for this episode.
Well, the music in a lot of the episodes is like early 2000s trash pop punk.
No, not Elvis. Not the Elvis song.
Oh, yeah, but that was like a big song at the
perfectly.
time. And there's also Nelly's Hot in Here.
Yeah, I heard that. I was like, where am I?
Yeah, because there's no subtlety. This is the least subtle episode of anything ever. But yeah, like, again, there's not a whole ton of plot, so Clark he basically knows right off the bat, like,
that something's up.
Well, what's triggering his heat vision, as well as something's up with Desiree. And they also show us pretty quickly when she gets Lex to tear up the prenup before the wedding as well. And then we see like her like Poison Ivy style kiss with like pink breath or whatever it is. So
it's a shame John Glover wasn't on the episode because it would have been a Batman Forever style reunion. If you have a proto Poison Ivy.
Oh yes. Because he was it Woodrue?
I believe so.
Yeah. Well, you can kind of like skip through some of these things real quick. So basically, Chloe is like in a little subplot, tells Clark this lie about meeting a guy, and then her and Lana kind of acknowledge to each other that Clark has a thing for both of them and don't want him to get in between them. The Lex stuff is going on around behind the scenes. We have like a mini training thing between Clark and Jonathan, which is funny when because the second time.
Oh yeah, because he has his hands on Clark's shoulder, like, come on, do it, and he's like, I can't do this when you're right here.
And he's like, oh yeah, I get it. And then we see him looking at Clark through like the kitchen. Before that,
I thought he was like a little bit not really far away, but
he was like on the porch or something. He was like by the house.
Yeah, you just hear the heat vision sounds and what's the proper name for it?
Oh, what the heat
Scarecrow.
Vision? Yeah, the Scarecrow light on fire.
Yeah, it just bursts in flames.
Yeah, because they also joke about how many things that he like lit up to get it under control. It was like 5 Scarecrows. Something ridiculous. Because we don't see any of those. It's like 5 Scarecrows, like 2 of something else, and then like there's like the popcorn joke later when he's like, yeah, I gotta get in control, like, and then the popcorn explode, like, as he's talking about, like, it happened with Lana, and then like, but I got it under control, and then the popcorn like pops and goes all over his face in a very not so subtle, like, joke that just makes everyone awkward.
Yeah, we also get a return of a car being blown up.
Yes.
Or wrecked.
Yeah, it's every episode. But we did skip over the one part, so yeah, the second time he accidentally uses it, he's talking to Lana, and Lana's basically telling him that she's gonna end it with Whitney, and then she's like all sweaty and stuff, and then he lights the cappuccino machine on fire. Then
the part I was talking about gets reported to
the cops, and then Lex comes, and this is where before the next part, after the cops find out, is when Desiree shows up in the loft, I believe.
Yeah, the part where if this was happening today, that this would not have happened.
Yes, so she's like a 20-something-year-old woman with like a 15-year-old boy.
Yeah.
So that happens. She tries to use her powers on him. It doesn't work. Clark goes and talks to Lex about it, but Lex, like, was looking for an apology, and, like, this is where Clark really feels like something is going on. We cut to the high school, and Clark is talking to Chloe about it, and she's super skeptical. But she finds out that her real name is Allison Sanders. She's from Smallville, and this is where we get the backstory of how she got her powers. I think it's here and somewhere else, but I'll just scoop it all together.
No, it's her and her boyfriend at the time were doing stuff.
They were making out in their car or something and hooking up during the meteor shower.
Yeah, and somehow that upped her pheromones.
Yep. So her first crime is she gets her then boyfriend to kill her parents. He goes to jail. Says
she inherits everything.
Yeah, 6 hours later, he has no idea why he did anything. Then she marries a something tycoon or something.
I think it was a shipping tycoon or something.
Yeah, and she becomes a teacher, and then one of her students kills him with So
no. It was a .com.
No.
Or was that the next marriage?
That's the next thing. So it was like
she's been married like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, so she gets a student to kill her husband. Then Chloe says that the only problem is she lost all her money in the .com crash.
Bust.
Which is when she hooked up with Lex. Because this is, I guess, all post that. And of course, Clark, when he talks to Lex knows nothing about all this.
But rather than taking his friend's advice, he just says, "Get the hell out of here, our friendship's over."
Yes. And Desiree basically goes to Lex, and this is when Lex goes to Lana and basically uses the fire as an excuse to tear up their contract and buy her out so that he can close down the Talon.
Which, again, this is going to be happening a lot more.
Yeah.
It's one of the biggest big running gags on the show is how many times does the Talon get closed or destroyed?
Yeah, this is like the 3rd time it's gotten destroyed. And this is also, we should also keep on, I think this is the 2nd Meteor Freak to be a faculty member of the school.
Oh yeah, because of Coach.
Yeah, so kind of
Coach
in both premieres, one is called Hothead and this one's called Heat. It's both faculty members. So I wonder if they knew they had to know they were doing that. There's no way. But from here we see Desiree blows up a car and frames and says that Clark do it. And since Clark was at 2 other fires, the cops tend to think
3 suspicious fires, and Clark was at all 3 supposedly.
Yeah, well, he's definitely at 2, and then the 3rd one is the supposedly
is one or the other, or taking the word of one and the other. Yeah. So Sheriff Ethan takes him away.
Yep. He's like I do like that they kept him as a recurring character. Because it would be weird if he was changed. Like, Smallville is supposed to be a fairly small town.
Yeah, I think in the Kent episode in season 10, I think Earl's mentioned.
He's probably like a deputy or something, or like a young kid in it.
No, this is the alternate timeline.
Okay, I thought you were talking about the
or 2.
Okay, I wonder if he's mentioned as being like a kid in the town when we see Grandpa Kent in the flat, like it's the episode in the past
when Jor-El falls in love with Lana, because I forgot what her ancestor was.
Something like that, because there's an episode where we meet Jonathan's father,
Hiram
in the past. So Hiram's in his like 30s.
And thank God they didn't use John Schneider for that one.
No, they used somebody else. Oh, I'm sorry. I got lost in where I was in the episode. So Martha goes looking for Nell, but she runs into Lex, and she gives Lex like a talking to. While this is going on, and Clark is in jail. Jonathan goes and confronts Desiree, who's swimming topless. Angry at her, he goes to leave, but she catches him and uses her powers.
And he inadvertently cheats on his wife.
It's not. I wouldn't consider it cheating because it was against his will. She sexually assaulted him.
Yeah.
If anything. So, but I mean, that's why I think they kind of make the thing up at the end where he says stuff about like taking Martha out to dinner.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we cut back to the mansion, and Jonathan is there with Desiree. Like, it's basically Jonathan shows up, and like Desiree is getting Jonathan wants him to kill Lex.
And we get one of my favorite. It may be, say what you want. about further seasons, it's still my favorite shot of perhaps the entire show when
Oh,
he fires the bullet and you see it melt, like, evaporate
yeah.
due to the
So,
heat vision.
yeah, while that's going on, Lana and Chloe talk to Clark. They leave. That's where they reveal other information to him that we've already gone over. He lights the fire alarm on fire. The sheriff lets him out, and then he just runs away. So yeah, then he gets to the house as Jonathan fires the gun. He heat visions in super speed and melts it in the air, which is, again, yeah, I totally agree. It is a great shot. It's also something I hope that they do more often in the show. I don't remember, because for him to be able to, like, super speed heat vision melt a bullet out of the air is a very powerful, like, tool to have. And I'm guessing they don't go back to it that much because it's an expensive effect.
Yeah, it's pretty expensive. It doesn't happen as much as you wish it would happen.
So in Clark's, list of WWE moves, he throws Jonathan into a wall, knocks him out.
And then as Desiree is trying to escape, he just does a turn in slow-mo, and he visions the door handle.
Yeah, well, as he's taking out Jonathan, she takes a bottle of something, smashes Lex in the back, and then lights him on fire.
Yeah, was that... What the hell did she light him up with?
If you have, like, a high enough... Like, if you have, like, a strong alcohol, you can definitely light it on fire.
No, I'm talking about the actual device she did it with.
Oh, I didn't even notice. Was it a candle?
No, it looked more like a cattle prod.
Oh, I wasn't actually... I guess I didn't pay enough attention to see what she lit him on fire with. I was thinking it would either be, like, in that room, the things that he would have would be... I guess if he thought they were going to, like, have, like, a date, like a candle, or if he had some sort of weird lighter, but no one smokes in the show, so... Yeah, I have no idea. But she lights him on fire, so then, yeah, Clark heat visions the door handle, which he grabs and screams. Clark
and then he has to, take a blanket, get the blanket, wrap it around Lex, get him to the ground, and just quick patting.
Yep. And that's basically what ends the major part of this episode. It wraps up with Jonathan explaining that basically everything is washed away. Him and Lex just want to forget everything. Desiree's taken into custody. Lex shows up at the loft and basically says, like, the Nullman's coming through, and says that, like, maybe he should be more like Clark and be, like, a little bit more patient and not
compared to how he was with Clark in season 1 when he kept trying to tell him to pursue Lana.
Mm-hmm. And then, so from here, though, Clark decides to kind of, I guess he's going to possibly take a chance with Lana. And this is where she tells him that she's going to tell Whitney the truth. So he leaves, and Lana records a Dear John video for Whitney, which is basically what that's called when you break up with somebody who went to leave in the military. But he kind of put her in a shitty spot. But that's where this episode ends. But there's, like, this episode is ridiculous. There's, like, a lot of little jokes, because the book that Clark is reading when Lex walks in at the end is Fahrenheit 451.
Yeah.
Oh, apparently in a deleted scene they shot a sex scene with Lex and Desiree.
What?
Yeah, I'm just reading that.
Oh my god.
But one of the things I wanted to get back with her is, so that actress, her other thing that she did besides this that's kind of, I guess, like, known, is that she was in the Emmanuelle in Space, which is like a softcore porn. I think it was like one of those things that was shown on, like, Cinemax back in the day. Yeah, it was on Cinemax and DVD. So she did 7 episodes of that. So, again, this is the second woman kind of real relationship person they've given Lex. And the first one was like an FHM model, and then this one was in, like, softcore porn.
Oh, I just said to say this. I started listening to the Inside, like, Escaping Nexium podcast.
Oh, yes.
I finished the first episode. The minute Chloe was on screen, I was like, I was immediately pissed off.
Yeah, like, I still haven't gotten the nerve up to listen to the second one because the first one is, like, so intense.
Yeah, I don't even know how I made it through the episode.
Yeah, that's what, like, I have said, like, it's the only podcast I've ever had to pause and take a break from and then come back to, like, a single episode. And I listen to, like, a bunch of true crime stuff and, you know, listen to stuff people talk about, all sorts of, like, horrible serial killers, and then this...
Yeah, I mean, like, the first part, or the first time I wanted to stop was when they got to the branding.
That's where I stopped, because it was like
because of where the location of the branding.
It's like on their leg or something, right?
No.
Oh, it's not? Maybe like I blocked that out.
I think you did. Because... No, we'll talk about it off
yeah.
It is not the place to be on. It's not appropriate on This Is Superman show.
Yes. I guess we can do a quick like MVP, LVP, favorite scene, like worst scene in this episode.
For me, my MVP is